so excited to say that I'm joined by Andrew from Basement, who have recorded a very special session for us from Maida Vale Studios. Hey Andrew, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thanks. Nice to have you back with us. And nice to have a new record from you. It's been 8 years since the last album. Was that like a intentional sort of hiatus? Did you picture yourself not making a Basement album again, or were you always going to come back to it?
At first, we knew we just needed a break, and it was supposed to just be a year, and then COVID kind of happened, and it went way longer than any of us thought it would. But in that time, we all kept in touch and were kind of trying to work out what it was we wanted to do. And some of us weren't sure if they wanted to carry on with the bands. And basically, as soon as we started being honest with ourselves, like how important it was, we all realised that it was okay to like share that and say, yeah, actually, we really want to keep this going. So as soon as we started doing that, we started writing music, and you know, there was never going to be a situation where we weren't going to try and put something out, and that's where we are now with Wired.
Yeah. What was it like when you all got back in the room together and started playing together again? Was it a bit chaotic, or were you straight back into it?
It was, so we weren't straight back into it in the sense that me and Alex started writing first to kind of feel it out, to work out whether or not it was going to be for Basement, if it was, because we met up just to write. We were like, we don't know what's going on with the band, we miss each other, we miss writing, let's write. We started writing and it was very clearly Basement. So then we were like, whoa, how does everyone feel? Let's get together and see how we're getting on. And as soon as we had like proper conversations about like what it was we wanted to do, how we wanted to do it, like making sure we were all on the same page, and we did a lot of talking with each other about like what we really wanted to do and how we wanted to approach being in a band. So after like proper serious like vulnerable conversations, then we started getting together and writing, and that's when it became very natural, very kind of organic, like it was when we were sort of in our early 20s and things started.
And were you always having those kind of vulnerable conversations with each other, or is that something you kind of learned during that 8-year sort of period apart? Like, actually, if this is going to work, we all need to talk with each other and share with each other what's going through our minds.
We started as, you know, young people and as friends, and there's, even in the 8 years, you know, that we took off or you know, in between releasing music, that in itself is such a huge amount of time, and the amount of emotional growth we've done in that time, let alone the amount of time we've been together as people and as friends. And you know, it takes a long time for you to kind of get to a level of emotional maturity where you can be vulnerable with someone else, and that can only really come from us trusting each other and really kind of wanting the best for each other.
Yeah, and I imagine, well, we'll talk about the tour in a bit, because you've been playing some pretty big gigs since you've been back. I imagine having that honest relationship is particularly important when you're on tour. But what's it been like to come back? You must be getting a amazing response from fans who maybe thought they might not have an opportunity to see you live again.
It's been honestly overwhelmingly amazing. Like, both from fans that have been with us from the start, who have, you know, said that they weren't sure they were going to see us again, and also like young fans, like people that have picked us up from, you know, maybe TikTok or something, in their sort of like mid to late teens. Like seeing people like that be like really excited about new music and like us being a band, and everything feels like weirdly really fresh. And we were like, well, that's what we did at the start, like how can we do that this time around? And like approaching it from that perspective, or rather reminding ourselves that's the perspective that we want to have, because things get confused and, like, you know, decades start to happen, and then you kind of lose track of what it is you're trying to do.
Yeah. I want to talk about the new record, but first we should get into this session. So you've recorded a session for us for Maida Vale, and the first track we're going to play for it from the new album Wired is called Time Waster. What can you tell us about this one?
This is, like, I started writing this as soon as I felt like I needed to, like, write something, and I'm thinking about it now. I can't remember if I was writing it because I just wanted to write, or if I was writing for Basement. But this was the first thing that when I was going back to guitar stuff, that was like, okay, this is what I want to sort of start showing people. So we've actually been playing this song for years, like even before we started recording it. We were practicing it together, showing each other demos, working on it, changing things here and there. So yeah, this one is a particularly important song for us because this was like the kind of first thing we started doing for this record.
All right, let's hear it. Basement live in session for Six Music for New Music Fix Week. Recorded at Maida Vale. So this session was pre-recorded at Maida Vale Studios, and it's one of the last handful of sessions that are going to be taking place in Maida Vale, which is this building that's been at the heart of the BBC since 1946. I wonder, from an artist point of view, what's it been like to perform there? What does that space mean to you?
It's so it's prolific. It's as soon as you hear the words Maida Vale, obviously it is an area in itself, but all I can think of is the BBC Studios. All I can think of is looking at years and years of bands that have come to do sessions, and even before things were recorded for sessions, thinking of all the artists. If you look on the website, all the different people throughout decades that have performed there and recorded there. It's massive for a British band, especially. It's huge, and we certainly don't take that sort of stuff for granted. We were really, really excited and so grateful to be asked back. But we were nervous, really nervous. It was really important to us that we wanted to do our best, and it took us a little second to get comfortable. But then as we started going through stuff, there's something about the room and just seeing the little red light come on, and everyone that works there is so professional and so just dialed in with what they're doing. It's really awesome.
Oh, well, we're grateful to have you in session as one of the very last at Maida Vale. It's bittersweet, but glad to have you, especially given how special it is that you've got this new album out after such a long time. The album's called Wired. Tell me a little bit about, why is it called Wired? Why that name?
Well, we were trying to think of, most of our records have had several word titles, and we knew we wanted to try and be as simple as possible and as impactful as possible, and we were I guess one word makes the most sense with that. We really wanted it to be, whatever the word was, we wanted it to be clear that it wasn't cute, it wasn't softer. It made sense with a lot of the things we were trying to do kind of stylistically with the photographs and with the way that the artwork was and the layout and stuff, and one of the guys that we worked with really kind of dug into that whole sort of the wire side of it and the electronic side of it. And if you look at the inlay and stuff, he's gone into the amount of detail with looking at there's so much stuff in there to do with the kind of behind the scenes kind of analog recording side of things that I really love. I would imagine as a fan on the outside, I'd really like to kind of look at that and how we put that together. So that's why we kind of went for that. And with time passing now, I'm really happy we went for that, because for whatever reason, it kind of makes sense and it works.
I think it's a great album title. It's one of those great words that's it means several things, musically and culturally and everything. I think it's you've struck gold with that album title, I think.
Thank you. I think Alex, he really believed in it, and he has an amazing creative drive. And I think if he really believes in something, I'm really happy to kind of go, right, I'm going to kind of put my lack of confidence maybe to one side and let him kind of take the reins.
Yeah, that's the beauty of having bandmates, I guess, that you've got such a good trusting relationship with. You can lean on them for stuff like that. Are you cognizant putting this record out that the landscape has changed slightly in terms of the fact that hardcore music is at the forefront now of what people are interested in listening to, far more, I would say, than it was 8 years ago. Acts like Turnstile, and there's loads of different bands coming through that are sort of in your sort of sphere of sound, I guess. Is that something that you're aware of putting this record out? Do you expect it to be received differently because people are more open to this kind of music at the moment?
I think so. I feel like we were talking about it before things were starting to kind of get released, and we were so excited that it seemed to be the perfect time to release an album like this, because you've got bands like Turnstile, like Knocked Loose, like Show Me the Body, who are breaking through the kind of independent underground scene that we all came from and being so accepted in a wider world. And it was previously when we put records out, guitar music still was fighting against so many other genres and still wasn't really perceived as how it was always been perceived to me, as being the coolest thing in the world. That's all I've ever wanted to do musically, was to play guitar and be involved in guitar music. I think if things are good and the people that are enjoying it love it and are passionate about it, then it's gonna be big. The whole idea of bands quote unquote selling out is kind of ridiculous if you're doing what you've always done and then it just becomes popular. Like, that's not selling out, that's just you believing in what you're doing, and then everyone else kind of comes along for the ride.
Absolutely, that's integrity. If it's, that's exactly what that is.
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
And Turnstile are a band with integrity. Like, they know exactly what they want to do and they don't compromise. And so I love seeing them just grow and do more and more.
Yeah, for sure. We have Andrew from Basement in the studio. We have a live session they've recorded for us from Maida Vale. Let's have another track from that session. This is the title track from the brand new album. It's called Wired. I'm joined by Andrew from Basement, who's with me now. We're in the midst of a Basement session recorded at BBC's iconic Maida Vale studios. So we mentioned, Andrew, that on the topic of performing, you've got a major tour cycle on at the moment. You've done some massive dates. You're doing All Points East in the UK as well. What has it been like to be back on the road again?
It's amazing. Like, we've recently done this full European tour, doing festivals. Like, we're going to America towards the end of this year, and then we're going to come back and do some stuff in the UK again. And after every show we've played recently, we're kind of laughing about how good everything is going. Like, we're so grateful and we're so excited, and I don't know what it is, but like, everything just feels like really special right now. And being away from loved ones is really hard, but when you're away and you're with people you care about and people are showing up consistently, and the atmosphere and the energy at the shows is just like unbelievable. And I didn't think I'd be saying this, almost 20 years into being in a band and releasing however many records we've done at this point. I think it's 5, I forget. But like, I know, I'm very aware that that's not how it always goes. So we are very much trying to not take anything for granted and appreciate and just keep going and doing everything we can while it's still there.
Yeah. How is that lifestyle shift to go from, this break you've taken for 8 years to suddenly being back on the road and sort of flung into that touring lifestyle, which is, I imagine, very different from normal day-to-day life?
It's something that we all love and struggle with at the same time. It's I've spoken recently with close friends that are in similar sort of size bands, so that do as much touring as we do, and it's hard because we know how lucky we are, and we're so grateful that we get to do this for a living. Like, it's still very much pinch me that I get to make music for a living. Like, that's incredible. So, and then at the same time, when I do talk about things that I struggle with, that we all struggle with, that I think probably many musicians struggle with, there's this immediate kind of guilt of, I'm not really allowed to talk about that because, look at all these positive things and these amazing things that music has given us and that it allows us to do. But at the same time, we need to kind of be honest, and kind of what I was talking about earlier about this being vulnerable and having like real conversations with each other. If we're not kind of sharing with each other like stuff that we find hard, whether or not if it's just like a particular day, or this past tour, like, stuff's happened at home and people have experienced loss, and trying to be there for someone while you're like hundreds if not thousands of miles away from family members and things are going on at home, it is really tough. But we're also aware that we've chosen this, so it's like, it's that thing of like knowing that we've put ourselves in this position, so there will be things that we have to kind of deal with, but we are all very supportive of each other and understanding of each other. And if we need to, take time off or go away and stuff, like, that's obviously what we will do to make sure everyone can kind of keep this going, because ultimately we want to do this as long as we all want to do this.
Yeah.
Like, if we're all happy and doing it, that's the goal.
Yeah. And what is coming up next for Basement that you're excited about?
I mean, just trying to play as many things as we can with these new songs, like just trying to get to a point where we're playing songs off the record in a way that we're like, this is how it's supposed to be, because we're still, it's such an interesting thing. Like, you spend months writing these things, and then you go into a studio and you only get an X amount of time, and whatever happens. And what happened was, we were so proud of, like, we've never been so proud of how it came out, and that's very much to to thank John Congleton, the producer and like recorder engineer of that record. Like, he really helped us do that. And now we're left with these physical representations of the songs in the time that we recorded them, and it's now almost like we have to like kind of visit them to then be able to perform them in a way that we feel like does justice to how we did at the time. And it's kind of finding that balance, because obviously we'll never be able to do it exactly like the record, but for me personally, that's the thing I'm the most excited about, is spending time doing that and getting to a point. And it might take years, honestly. Like, there's some songs now that we play that are 10 years old, and I love how we play them now, but if you compare them to the record, it's like super different. And there's such a pleasure and a joy in doing that with the 4 other people in the band, getting these songs to a point where we're like, yeah, we're really, really happy with how we're doing them. So like that's the main focus for me, but that's in the kind of grander scheme of like going on these like tours that we've got coming up with America and then UK, Europe early next year.
Amazing. Well, let's have one final track from this session recorded at Maida Vale. This is Basement and Broken by Design.